Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's Caramel Coils here again with another video. The last time I sat down to film a hair video was February 27th. It is currently March 29th, so it's been a whole month since I sat in front. Oh, I did film some Instagram reels, but the last time I actually filmed the video for YouTube was a month ago, so that's crazy. So this is gonna be a little deep condition with me, deep condition and chill, chit chat, I don't know what you want to call it, but I'm gonna be deep conditioning my hair and just filling you guys in. So the deep conditioner I'm using today is the Talia Wajid apple and aloe apple cider deep conditioner. This has been sitting in my stash for months. Now, if you watch my product stash video, you would know that I rediscovered this product. And I realized that I only used it once and I don't have a fair opinion on it. I definitely need to try it again, so that's what we're doing today. So it says that this helps restores hair back to its best pH, deeply conditions, balances moisture, strengthens and detangles while boosting hair's elasticity and shine, leaves hair soft, conditioned, moisturized, and manageable. So let's get right into it. Yeah, so I don't usually do these life updates because my life is not that interesting, like, at all. But I think a few interesting things have happened in recent times. I mean, I will say that I've been super inconsistent on YouTube. As you guys can see, I have not filmed a YouTube video in a whole month. That's crazy. So I have a video that I filmed like a month ago. I still haven't edited yet. So I did the Instagram consistency challenge back in February. I participated in it. Oh, by the way, y'all, also got a new spray bottle. You know, this is actually my first time owning a continuous spray bottle. I got it from Neewer. They actually sent me one of their hair dryers, so definitely stay tuned for a review on that. I can't believe this is my first time owning a continuous spray bottle. Prior to this one, I've literally never even used one, so I don't even know how they work. But so far, I'm actually really liking it. I think my spray bottle works just as good as this, but it's nice, it's fancy, it's cute, and I don't know. It makes doing my hair a little more fun. Like I said, so I participated in the consistency challenge on Instagram for the month of February. I didn't get to post every single day like I wanted to, but I definitely made some significant progress. In January, I probably posted on Instagram 3 times max. For February, I posted more than like 15, 16 times, and that's crazy. That's incredible for me. I didn't think it was possible, so I'm really proud of myself. But I noticed that as I was, you know, in the process of trying to be consistent on Instagram, I ended up falling off on YouTube, as you guys can see. So that kind of sort of partially explains my absence. So this product in. So this deep conditioner. So part of the reason why I was never really too fond of this deep conditioner is because of its consistency. It's so liquidy, and I'm not really a fan of liquidy deep conditioners. I like my deep conditioners thick and creamy, but let's see. Pretty soft. I also waited really long to apply my deep conditioner, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. So my hair is not as moist as it really should be. A slip though, I'll say that. It has a lot of slip and it's pretty moisturizing, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's very slippery. It almost feels like a pre-poo, even though I don't think I've ever used a pre-poo technically. I've never really used a pre-poo, but I feel like this is what it would feel like if I were to use a pre-poo. This is very interesting, y'all, but we'll see how my hair feels after I have rinsed it out. So posting every day on Instagram is very exhausting, especially when I didn't really plan the way I should have. I guess y'all could just say I was burnt out, and once I get burnt out, it's so hard for me to get back into the, you know what I'm saying, get back into the swing of doing things. So I'm trying to throw myself in there. So yeah, like I said, that explains one part of my absence. Second part of my absence, I would say, is probably, well, definitely the fact that I had COVID. It feels so weird even saying this out loud, but yeah, y'all, I got COVID back in February. Actually, yeah, I think the last video I filmed, I probably had it and didn't realize I had it. My perm rod said I think I had it when I filmed that video. I just didn't know it yet. You guys are probably curious like how that was for me, but to be honest, by the grace of God, I maybe experienced symptoms for about a day. So rewind to the day that I first had my symptoms. So this was February, I want to say like February 28th, I think. So I went into work and I felt tired. I felt really tired, but you know, I worked a 7 a.m. shift, so you know, it's kind of normal to feel tired. I had also been going to bed really late the past few nights, so I was like, you know what, I think my body is just tired. It's time for me to start going to bed at a reasonable time, etc., etc. Oh, another thing, I woke up with a headache. I don't know if you guys ever experienced it when you move your eyes, your head really hurts. That's the type of headache I had. Headaches are not something that I typically would associate with COVID, you know what I mean? You could have a headache because you're hungry, you could have a headache because you're tired, you could have a headache for numerous reasons. So I didn't really think too much of it then, but as time went on at work, I noticed, I'm like, damn, I feel kind of feverish, I guess you could say. I didn't feel hot, but whenever I feel feverish or whenever I have a fever, usually my skin is like very tender to touch. So like feeling my clothes rub on my skin was kind of like a little uncomfortable. But I'm like, and I just felt really, really tired, y'all. So fast forward to the end of my shift, I was like, yo, listen, at work it's very often, very common for us to stay past our time, you know, but I was like, bro, today I'm not doing it. I'm going home, because I was just so tired. I just felt so low energy. So when I finally got off from work, now I'm driving home, and that's when I started to have some chest pain. Like I felt like I had pressure in my chest, if that makes sense. But I've never had chest pain before, so that's when I started to think, damn, this might be it. Well, I was like, you know what, just in case, I'm gonna go ahead and just keep my distance from my parents and my family or whatever. But then like the chest pain started to get really bad. I couldn't really sit still. I kept like, it just made me really restless. I'm not waiting for anything. I'm going straight to urgent care to get seen to. So that's exactly what I did. I wanted to drive myself, but my mom said no. She didn't, you know, she didn't feel comfortable with me going by myself if I'm having chest pain, and etc, etc. She was like, well, just wear a mask in the car, you sit in the back, which is what I did. We rolled the windows down. I wore two masks. So I went to urgent care. They had me there for about 2 hours to just tell me that I need to go to the emergency room. Well, one thing I will say though, after doing like an EKG, they didn't find anything. They gave me some aspirin to help with the chest pain, and honestly, I would say that actually helped significantly. Ever since I took that aspirin, I didn't have any other chest pain. Then I made it to the emergency room. I had my mom sit in the car because I'm like, listen, I don't need her being exposed to anybody else. Like, let's say if I don't have COVID, I don't want her being exposed to anybody else in the hospital that could potentially have COVID or any other germs or whatever that may be in the hospital. So I had her sit in the car. I did what I had to do. They did some EKGs, they did some x-rays, they did all this stuff. And to be honest, y'all, if I didn't push getting a COVID test, I would not have gotten one, because I talked to the doctor. I was like, you don't think it's COVID? You don't think it's COVID? And he's like, oh, I mean, well, it could be, but you know, he's not, basically he wasn't too worried about it, basically. And he was kind of just like, you know, if you want to get a test, we can if you really want to. And I'm just like, well, of course I want to. Like, who wouldn't want to know that they have COVID? So that's literally the last test that they do, is a COVID test. And of course, y'all should already know the COVID test is not fun. That's probably like my 5th time getting tested. So yeah, y'all, fast forward to the next day. I wasn't feeling too bad the next day. Maybe I felt a little under the weather, but nothing too crazy. I think I got my results like not the next day, but the morning after that. And it said that I was positive. So I was like, wow, just really taken back, because I'm like, dang, if I have COVID, how long have I had it? You know, I live with my parents, and that's honestly, y'all, that has been my biggest fear throughout this entire pandemic. I think out of majority of my friends and majority of the people that I'm acquainted with or associated with, I feel like I have been like the most cautious, the most careful, the most paranoid, because, you know, I live with my parents. My parents are in their early 60s, mid 60s. So I'm like, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, put them at risk or anything like that. So I've been extremely cautious. Y'all, like I said, I've been tested like 5 times. And whenever I would go out of town, by out of town I mean like going to Orlando, because that's where quite a few of my friends live. Whenever I do that, I was always skeptical, always hesitant about it. But whenever I did go, I made sure I was super cautious when I came home. I'm like, listen guys, like I know y'all missed me, but we're gonna have to keep our distance, you know. It was to the point where I was actually getting tested every time. Eventually I started to, you know, let my guard down a little bit. I'm like, you know what, all I can do is really take precautions, hope for the best kind of thing, and which I have. So like I said, y'all, I don't go out, I don't go to clubs, I don't go to parties. I go to work, I come home. So honestly, y'all, I don't know where I got it. I told myself I wasn't even gonna rack my brain to try and figure that out, because it's just like, for what? Like, you find out who you got it from or where you got it from, and then what happens? You know, it doesn't change anything. You still have COVID, still got to quarantine. And yeah, so after I got my results, I was just really paranoid. My mom and my parents felt fine, but it was recommended that they get tested as well. So they went ahead and got tested. My mom ended up testing positive. My dad tested negative, so they decided to quarantine from each other. But I kid y'all not, y'all, it was an emotional roller coaster. You know, like I said, my biggest fear this last year has been spreading COVID to my parents. And you can ask any one of my friends, I've been so paranoid, you know, making sure that my parents are okay, making sure that my parents are okay, because I would hate to be that person that's selfish and, you know what I'm saying, gives it to them. And I guess I'm pretty sure I'm the one who did give it to them. However, I don't know how I got it. It could have been at work. It could have been that one time I went out to eat. I think I sat down and ate once at one restaurant within, you know, the last few days before testing positive. I got takeout a few times as well, so honestly, who knows? It doesn't really change much. So yeah, y'all, I had to stay in my room for 10 days, and that wasn't even the worst part, to be honest with y'all. So yeah, I had to isolate myself from my family, for the rest of my family. Well, it was really my dad and my brother that I was isolating myself from, because my mom had tested positive. Initially, she was feeling all right. She had it worse than I did, unfortunately. She had it worse than I did, but it's still, like I said, by the grace of God, y'all, my parents are okay, I'm okay. We didn't have it bad at all. So it was just nerve-wracking, one, making sure that I'm like, dang, so how is it that my dad tested negative, but my mom tested positive? I'm like, maybe, you know, he got tested too soon, I don't know. So I was a little paranoid about that, but also paranoid that, you know, what's gonna happen to my mom if she has COVID. You know, the older you are, the more at risk you are. So again, like I said, y'all, I've been so paranoid, like for this last year, just, you know, concerned that I'm gonna give it to my parents, like anxiety. Before actually being diagnosed with COVID, I self-diagnosed myself with COVID like 4 or 5 times in this last year, because that's how paranoid I've been and cautious I've been. So that one thing that you've been ducking and dodging for a year, you finally get it, and not just you get it, but your parents get it too. So it was just a lot for me. You know, every day I'm like, you know, checking in with my parents. Oh, how are y'all feeling, etc., etc. Well, you know, I can't leave my room, so my dad would bring food to our door. And yeah, it was just really nerve-wracking, y'all. Really nerve-wracking, because literally at any moment, any day, things could take a turn for the worse. Literally. Y'all know how COVID is. Some people start off with no symptoms, and then it takes a turn for the worse, you know. Not to mention, when I got to the ER, somebody came in right behind me, this like older lady. I didn't even get to look at her, but she just came in, and she was just like, you could hear the, you know, the panic in her voice, and she was saying like, my husband has COVID and he's having a hard time breathing. And it was just, oh my gosh, it's just too much for me. I could never work in a hospital. But just hearing that alone, after already having my suspicions of having COVID, I was just like, just an emotional wreck. Surprisingly enough, it wasn't even like I was blaming myself necessarily, because I'm like, I really don't, it could have been at work that I got it, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like I'm out here partying and being reckless. So it's not even that I was guilty. For me, it was more of like just concern for my parents' well-being, you know. So yeah, fast forward a couple days later now, my dad, one night he felt kind of feverish. My brother took his temperature. His temperature was normal, but he popped some Tylenols. Okay, cool. Then the next day he felt fine. But then the next night, he felt feverish again. He felt like he had the chills. Checked his temperature. Now he has a temperature of 100.2. So that's when I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh man, like this has got to be it. My dad's got to have COVID. You know, it only makes sense. So after feeling feverish for the second night, my dad eventually went and got tested again. Unfortunately, he tested positive. So now I'm living in a house where everybody has COVID, except for my brother. My brother didn't have it. He got tested and he was fine. But my brother is also hardly ever home, so that makes sense. But yeah, y'all, so and my dad ended up testing positive. This is like, I had like maybe 2 or 3 more days left of my quarantine. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, like damn, just when I thought this was gonna be over, my dad tested positive. My dad is a higher risk than my mom is, so I was like really worried about him. But surprisingly, out of everybody, he had, well, let me see. Like I said, he felt kind of feverish one night. He had a sore throat as well. But that's about it. Like, my dad didn't have any crazy symptoms. I was so surprised. I would say that my dad and I's symptoms were pretty mild. My mom, now, on the other hand, my mom had a really, really bad cough. And she was just really tired, just low energy. And she was just, like, really under the weather. But still not as bad as some people. None of us, like, had diarrhea or were vomiting or had crazy chest pain. Yes, I had chest pain for, like, a day. But, you know, nothing that I couldn't really manage. So yeah, y'all, I'm just feeling really grateful and also a sense of relief, to be honest with y'all, because like I said, this one thing that I had been trying to duck and dodge for a whole year finally came, and it left, and I'm okay. My parents are alive and well, you know what I mean? And I'm just so glad it's over. Obviously, you know, you can always contract it again, but for at least 3 months, you probably won't catch it again, I think. Don't quote me on that, I'm not a doctor, but I think I saw somewhere online that said that, which makes sense, because I mean, like, because of course I tested negative, my parents were still positive, and I was still around them and stuff like that. I was taking care of them. Of course, I'm still negative, so I have no one to thank but God. Oh, and I did lose my sense of smell and my sense of taste. That was not fun. I'll tell y'all about that right now. Let me just get this started on this side, because I'm taking forever. How long has it been? Damn. So as far as my sense of taste and my sense of smell, one thing about me, I love to eat, and I also have a very sensitive nose. Very, very sensitive nose. Like, I smell stuff that I'm really not supposed to be smelling. Not on purpose. Because I knew losing my sense of taste and smell is something commonly associated with COVID, I had been trying to check like almost every day, like, damn, have I lost my sense of smell yet? Smelling my hair product, because certain products I have, like there would be no question on whether or not I have my sense of smell because they're just like so heavily fragrant. So I'm good. And then one day I tried to smell, I have these products by Carol's Daughter in there, and they're rose water, I think they're rose water and glycerin jelly to cream conditioner, which is it smells really good, but it's extremely fragrant. Like probably one of the most scented products I have in my collection. And I tried to smell it and I couldn't smell it for the life of me. And no matter how hard just nothing at all. And it was just so weird, so weird. Like, you know, it's like, it's one thing. Wow, my curls are popping, y'all. My hair looks really shiny and defined, y'all. This is why it's important to give products more than one chance, and it's best to space it out whenever you do decide to give it a second chance, because you know our hair is wishy-washy. But yeah, it was just really weird, and it just didn't feel real. Like, how do I have this product on my nose and there's just nothing? My brain is just not registering the smell at all. And then like a day or so later, that's when I started to lose my sense of taste. It's not like my sense of taste was completely shot. However, it just was very faint. I guess there's layers to your taste buds, or different, I don't know. It's so hard to explain. I can't even articulate what I'm trying to, my thoughts. Like if something was really salty, so I could taste the salt, but not so much what I'm eating. I'm making no sense. It's hard to explain, y'all. Just know that it's very weird and almost surreal. It just doesn't feel real. To be honest, I kind of sort of had to make believe for certain things. You know, when I was eating chips and guac from Chipotle, and I kind of just, you know, used my memory while I was eating to kind of get that feeling. I don't know if that makes sense, but fast forward to today, I'm back at work. I've been back at work for a while now. I ended up testing negative. Yeah, I tested negative about 10 days after quarantining. And yeah, like I've been fine, y'all. I have been fine. I just can't believe I can say that I had COVID. Like, it's just weird. It just doesn't sit right with me. But I know I've said it like 5 times already, but I can't stress it enough how grateful I am to have survived it. You know, not so much me, but my parents, because like I said, my parents are older. And like, you know, the way the media portrays COVID, I mean, not to say that, you know, they're overhyping it or anything like that, but just like the way that I interpreted the news and the way that I kind of sort of, you know, my thoughts on COVID was just like, if my parents get COVID, it's basically like a death sentence, basically. You know what I mean? That's kind of sort of how, but I also worry a lot, you know, and I tend to think worst case scenario sometimes. I mean, maybe not a death sentence, that sounds a little harsh, but like, you know, they're probably going to be hospitalized, they might need a ventilator, etc., you know what I mean? And yeah, y'all, so I am just relieved. Now I just want, like, I feel like now I just want a vacation. I know that sounds horrible, but now I just, because you know how many vacations I turned down, you know, because we were in a pandemic. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't regret it. You know, I was being careful. You know, I could have gotten it a lot sooner had I traveled. But yeah, man, I just missed out on so many things, like we all have. We all have missed out on a lot of stuff because of COVID, but you know, now I feel like I deserve a treat. Although I'm not gonna be out here wilding, I definitely feel a sense of relief. I'm not as paranoid when I go out on the street, you know. I somewhat have my peace of mind back, like, you know, pre-COVID. Although, like I said, I'm not out here, you know what I'm saying, licking doorknobs and stuff like that. Physically, I'm still, you know, taking the same precautions, of course, but mentally, you know, I have my peace of mind back to some degree. Like, I've had friends that had it way worse than me, so COVID is very much real. COVID is very much spreading like crazy, and it is very much nothing to play with. But like I said, I might even say I got lucky. I was blessed. I'm blessed. And I actually debated even talking about this with you guys because, you know, I'm very private, and I feel like, you know, having COVID is kind of personal, I guess you could say. Although I'm an influencer, you know, and I have my platform and stuff like that, I just didn't think it was something I'd talk about. But I'm like, you know what? Why not? But since we're being transparent, if you guys want, feel free to let me know in the comment sections if any of you guys have had COVID, or maybe you guys thought you had COVID. Well, I think everybody probably thinks they had COVID at one point in time. And I had just been anticipating this moment, and that just goes to show y'all that no matter how much you stress, no amount of preparation or anticipation or anxiety is going to, you know, prepare you for whatever is to come. So, you know, it came for me, and I handled it a lot better than I thought I would. You know, well, that's because of, you know, the outcome for me and my family. But all right, y'all, I have applied my deep conditioner all over, and like I said, my hair actually feels very moisturized, very hydrated. My hair just feels really good. It feels really good. You guys can see for yourself. how shiny my hair looks, and just, yeah, it looks really good. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and sit under the dryer, rinse that out, and come back with my results. Yeah, so I've rinsed out the deep conditioner, and typically, you should already know, I like to, as soon as I rinse out my deep conditioner, I like to go into my leave-in conditioner. But I do want to show you guys, you know, my results. It feels good. It's not the most moisturizing deep conditioner I've ever used, but it's nice. It's supposed to be a balanced deep conditioner, so it's supposed to condition, balance moisture, and also strengthen your hair. So I guess it's not that much of a shock that, you know, it's not the most moisturizing product ever. But I really enjoyed applying the deep conditioner on my hair because, like I said, the slip was amazing. But yeah, so I really want to go in with my leave-in conditioner before my hair starts to get too dry. But yeah, so that pretty much sums up my video. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If any of you guys have a COVID story, or if any of you guys have had COVID, feel free to share it in the comment section. Primarily, feel free to share anything that you feel like has helped you with COVID. And make sure you guys check out my Instagram, StephRachel_. Your girl worked really hard last month, you know, posting consistently. I want to say I got a good 3,000 followers from posting for a month consistently. So that was really inspiring, motivating. But I'm tired, I'm burnt out. I plan to get back into it this upcoming month. Fingers crossed. But thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. I'll see y'all next week.